Hi, this is Evan from Stock Music Musician, and today I want to show you how to do a beginner house beat in Reason 10. Now you're going to want to stay tuned till the end, because that's where I'm going to show you the most important tip about how to bring everything together with a filter on the master bus. But let's jump right into the track. Let's get started with the drum beat, then we'll do the bass, some pads, a lead, we'll use arpeggiators, and it's all going to be fun. So be sure to subscribe and like. If you got any questions, drop a comment below. Can't wait to see you on the other side. Let's get started. In house, the first and most important thing to do is just to get the drums. So we're going to set up a real simple drum pattern here using the Redrum. I've already traveled to the Redrum presets, and I'm just going to drag in house kit 3 here. Obviously, if you're doing something more advanced, you might either want to use a different drum pattern machine, you might want to manually plug it in. You might want to take time to configure your drums a little more. But since we're just doing the beginner start out, let's listen to what we've got here. Kick, oops, clap, tom, tom 2, hats, more hats. All right, so the way Redrum works is basically you have 4 banks here, A, B, C, D, each with 8 patterns. So we'll start off with running the pattern, and we'll select the kick drum and just do 1 kick on each of the 4. That's the standard house drum. So we're going to call that pattern 1. So to choose which pattern plays, we go down here and we click Edit Automation, right click on the pattern selection. And now we're going to hold Alt or select this little pencil tool and draw in down here the pattern selector. So we can stretch this out. So we'll do 4 bars of just kick. Then we'll go to pattern 2. And pattern 2 is going to be the kick on every downbeat. And really, we'll make 4 patterns just for simplicity here. And with house, the beginner house beat, we're just going to do the kick on the downbeat for all of these 4 patterns. But for pattern 2, we're going to start adding the upbeat clap. So let's hit play. We're doing pattern 2. So now we've got the clap on the upbeat, and so we can now draw in pattern 2 here. And we click down on this little area here where it says A1, and we're going to select pattern loop 2. So now it'll automatically go to loop 2. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Now we'll draw in section pattern 4, or pattern 3, sorry. And pattern 3 will have the snare here and here, or the clap, so it starts sounding fuller. And now we'll start getting some hi-hat in. So I think we're good. Now let's put it right back here. Alright, so now we've got a little bit more action going on. So we'll make you pattern 3 here. And finally, let's draw in pattern 4. Feel free to experiment with this. A lot of it is just feeling it, but the kick and the snare are going to be pretty much not feeling it. So first I want to draw these in on the upbeats, just like before. Oops. Oh, come on. So I'm still on pattern 1. Mistakes were made. So now we go back to pattern 4. Sorry. And let's just make sure pattern 3, right? Every upbeat. So we can even copy pattern. This is a faster way of doing it. And we can paste pattern. So now this is the same as pattern 4, but we're going to add one more layer to it. So we're going to add a Alright, so that's, come on now. Alright, so now we've got our basic drum pattern here, and it's going to evolve over these bars, and you'll hear, or you see it as it goes along, it will evolve. So we've done the drum programming. Next, what we're going to want to do is put in some chords. So let's use the Europa for that. It's a shape-shifting synthesizer. So it says, and 90s Polytechnic, why not? So that's not quite the sound we want. What about this? No. We're going to want something a little more. I think we can go with that. And let's add in, now just for really simplicity, since we're doing the beginner stuff, we'll use a player and we'll use scales and chords. So this is going to give us our chords. We'll hold down a note. That's a C. And we're going to want to do, let's try 4 notes, open chords, which just means the notes are going to be farther away. And we'll add an octave up, which will just fill them out a little bit more. So that's, and just for simplicity even, we'll just draw that in. Oops, wrong way. So I'm going to draw in a pattern here. I'm not even going to play it. Make you a bar long, I believe. Let's double check, but oh, come on. Sorry, I was on the wrong bar. That's a little bright for my taste, so we'll do it. So let's listen to this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build everything up just on the 4-bar loop, and then we'll start spreading it around. So I'm actually going to set, set the loop point to here. We've got loop enabled. So now it's just going to keep playing. Then we'll worry about arrangement a little bit more in a sec. So there are things I like about this drum. There are things I don't. First of all, I'm going to want a lot more reverb, so I'm going to turn on the amount and the decay up. Then we've got these pads here, and I'm going to want to put a filter on. I'm going to sweep the frequency down a little bit, so now there's not as much high end. And an LFO is basically a wave that goes like this, and so we'll moderate. Here's the LFO. And actually I want to switch it more to be like this. So it goes up, and I want to seek it to the beat so that it does it predictably. So now. Let's also make this a low pass filter. And also send this to LFO1. This is giving it a little more movement. Lowering the octave of this sound, so it's a little. turn down the volume of that a little bit. Now that we've got the chords in place, we're going to want to lay down a bass line. And we'll use the trusty, well, let's use the new monotone bass synthesizer. Why not? Mono basses sound great, so let's go with this. And what we can do, at least for starts, is we'll copy by holding down Alt and dragging it down here. I'm going to copy the bass here, and we're going to use an arpeggiator, again. And the only thing we want to do is draw these so that they ring out a little bit longer, filling everything out. So now there's no empty space. That's already, why change the default sound there? That's perfect. But now what I want to do is use the matrix pattern sequencer. No, that's not what I wanted. I apologize. We're going to use the arpeggiator, which just creates an arpeggio, monophonic arpeggiator. So, and of course we have to sequence it. So as an insert effect, I believe now. So, alright, what you have to do with this is you have to drag it. The note data actually has to be on the arpeggiator line. This is a little faster though. So we want single note repeat on. Gate length. This isn't going to do anything because there's no other notes, but maybe we do one. We'll just keep it. And let's also put an LFO. So what I want to do is put a bigger reverb on these chords. They're not really the lush house chords that we would want, frankly. I'm not that happy with them. So let's change these chords from a poly to a pad. And we could dial in the right sound, but let's see about this. That's more what we're going for. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to layer this. So, instruments. Ugh. So now we want to copy the same pattern onto here. And what I want to do is shift it actually up an octave. So click this and just go C4. Switch you to electric low. got these dialed in, now we're going to need a lead. And then we'll do a few fun things. So for the lead, we'll select a mouse drum. Why not? And for here, we're going to go for a monosynth. And we'll go for an amazing lead. Why not? It has it in the title. Alright, so let's just try the Juno lead. Alright, so I've got a little bit of lag on my keyboard, so let's just draw this in. So, starting on this E here. No shame in just writing out the music. Alright, so now that we've got this melody drawn in, so we've got about a bandpass filter on this. So now, that's the basic layout of this song. What we're going to do, first of all, is just add in a reverb, a bigger reverb to Cosmic Waves. We'll just use the standard Reason RV7000. And we'll put this pretty big. We'll do let's try a big blue. And that sounds really nice. We'll also add a stereo spreader. So, stereo spreader. Just get it out to the sides. Cut some of the low frequency. Drop a delay on the lead, and we can actually just use a simple delay for this. This is the DDL1 digital delay. It works really good for this sort of thing. Bit more movement. And for this, we're also gonna. These being held for the whole length. No, so we gotta stretch these out. Alright, and let's try these. more from the room, which will make them a little bigger. I think I do want the tremolo. Synth. This is just going to add some movement. We're also going to throw a delay, a reverb on this. Let's see if we can just do it. That sounds right. So from here, what we have to do is arrange it. And so we can get this browser out of the way. So we'll just arrange it over these bars here. And then we'll add a little fun thing. And there we go. All right, so we'll save the lead for last. The bass will come in there. We'll just copy paste U 4 times. Copy paste Control C, Control V on the bass and on the electric piano. So now let's listen to what this all sounds like for this beginner song, house song in Reason. In listening to this, I think the drums need to change a little bit. So pattern 2 here, we probably need double the claps to feel anything. And then also I'm going to want this hi-hat on the downbeat. So now let's listen to what happens. Just brings it forward a little bit more. Now it's bringing. And let's turn the pitch of this down just a little bit more. Okay. So now we've got the basic sound. Now the last thing we want to do is on the master section. This is going to affect everything. So we've got it on bypass right now. These are mastering effects, but let's instead, we'll delete all of these. And what I want to do is, there's a lot of stuff you can add here that'll make it sound interesting. But let's do the filter, just the Reason, good old-fashioned filter. All right, so. And we probably need like more bars or it builds up, but you get the idea. You add more and more and more, and you play with the filter. So I'm just going to record this live, starting here, and you'll see how it goes. Like this would be especially good if you had a keyboard with a knob, something like that. But you feel it building up. you go. That's the basics of how you do a beginner house song in Reason 10. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and leave any comments below about what else you'd like to learn about. I'm happy to help, and if you've got any other beginner tips, be sure to drop them below.